Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is your host, Kushalmehra. Just to give you a brief background about what was the decision to do this podcast today, I'm not even making this up. Couple of days ago, Tushar and I decided that when we did the manifesto coverage, I think we could not cover the wealth distribution aspect policy, and that's all we were focusing on. But little did we know that the great Mr. Sam Pitroda was going to come up with a fapa, and he was literally going to give it us to me. It was like, Sam Pitroda uncle ko main tahe dil se, on behalf of Tushar and I both from the Cārvāka podcast, हाथ जोड़ के उनका नमन करता हूं मैं कि अंकल तुसी ग्रेट हो. मतलब वी बाउ डाउन टू यू कि मतलब हम तो जानते भी नहीं थे कि आप हमको ऐसा थाली में परोस के फुल टॉस देने वाले हो कि जिसको हम यहाँ मारेंगे, वहां मारेंगे, वहां मारेंगे. So, Tushar, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Tushar, I think for transparency and honesty, should I play the entire clip of Mr. Pitroda that was shared by
That,
ANI so that people get a understanding कि Sam चाचा क्या कर रहे हैं आजकल?
that would be ideal, yes.
Okay, so we'll do that because before people accuse of us of straw manning someone, I think we should steel man them. So this is what Mr. Pitroda said. This is a clip shared by ANI, which was 12 hours ago, and I'm just going to play the whole clip.
But sir, one thing which is the Prime Minister is pointing out is the promise made by the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi or in the manifesto that the if the Congress party will be voted to power, the party would conduct a survey to run a check on who possesses the wealth in the country and undertake an exercise to redistribute the same among the people.
It doesn't
That
mean, but it doesn't mean that you are going to take their wealth and give it to somebody. It means to create new policies so the concentration of wealth can be prevented. It's like Monopoly Act. Okay? It doesn't mean that I'll take your shirt away. All right? That's how do you read that? I don't understand. How can you do that? Okay? It's not physically possible to do that. But you can say the future policies would be such that this particular group cannot be into everything. There is a Monopoly Act in America also. You know, we have to make sure that few people become so rich that they begin to run government. We have to make sure that's the requirement in democracy everywhere in the world. Nothing wrong in being rich, nothing wrong in accumulating wealth, but to what point? Let me tell you, in America, there is an inheritance tax. So if, let's say, one has $100 million worth of wealth, and when he dies,
Yeah.
he can only transfer probably 45% to his children. 55% is grabbed by government. Now, that's an interesting law. It says, you in your generation made wealth. You are leaving now. You must leave your wealth for public. Not all of it, half of it. Which to me sounds fair. In India, you don't have that. If somebody is worth 10 billion and he dies, his children get 10 billion. Public get nothing. And law says you get half of it, public gets half of it. So these are the kind of issues people will have to debate, discuss. I don't know what the conclusion would be at the end of the day. But when we talk about redistributing wealth, we are talking about new policies, new programs that are in the interest of the people and not in the interest of super rich only.
Okay, so before I get both my reaction and Tushar's reaction, I want to play a couple of more clips. Like, this is, I mean, seriously, how can I beat Sam Pitroda in this game? I just can't. Because people should get the entire context is the reason. So the next clip I'm playing is by a Congress candidate who's fighting from Delhi, Udit Raj ji. And Udit Raj ji was like, why should Sam Pitroda have all the fun? Hold my beer, metaphorically. So this is Udit Raj Saab answering to a media reporter today or yesterday. I don't know how, when it happened.
जो वेल्थ है डेड वेल्थ मनी है और हजारों करोड़ सैकड़ों करोड़ और लाखों करोड़ पड़े हुए हैं, तो उस पर टैक्स थोड़ा सा लेकर के देश के विकास में, सड़क में, शिक्षा में, स्वास्थ्य में लग जाएगा और गरीबों को मुफ्त शिक्षा दे दिया जाएगा, तो क्या खराबी है?
ये इंडिया में प्रैक्टिकली मुमकिन है ऐसा कर सकना?
तो इंडिया में क्यों नहीं? इंडिया में ज्यादा होना चाहिए, इंडिया में ज्यादा होना चाहिए। यहाँ गरीबी ज्यादा है, 80 करोड़ लोगों को।
So the interesting bit is Mr. Pitroda led the number at 50%. Mr. Raj is like, nah, मैं नहीं satisfied हैगा, ज्यादा होना चाहिए. Emphasis उनका है, मेरा नहीं है. And now we obviously go to the mothership, you know, the most intellectual personality on planet Earth. This was, I think, a statement made at a Samajik Nyay Sammelan. And this is Rahul Gandhi's philosophy, his epistemic framework, and पेशे खिदमत है ये क्लिप.
मीडिया में मेरे बारे में कहते थे कि पॉलिटिक्स में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, नॉन सीरियस है. आपने देखा होगा मीडिया में 24 घंटा नॉन सीरियस. मनरेगा नॉन सीरियस, जमीन अधिकरण बिल नॉन सीरियस, न्यामगिरी नॉन सीरियस, भट्टा परसोल नॉन सीरियस, अमिताभ बच्चन, ऐश्वर्या राय, विराट कोहली सीरियस.
मेरे को कोई ये समझाओ ये आदमी कहना क्या चाहता था इधर. मैंने इसको कम से कम 50 बार ये क्लिप को सुना. What the hell was he trying to say here? Okay, now I hand it over to Tushar. I apologize. I had to play these three things because I am so confused as to what Mr. Gandhi is trying to say. So first we'll start with Mr. Pitroda. So state it one by one. What are your rebuttals to Mr. Pitroda?
I wish I had the confidence of Mr. Pitroda. I would have climbed up to the peak of Mount Everest without an oxygen cylinder. That's all I have as a rebuttal. मतलब जिंदगी में इतना कॉन्फिडेंस सबको चाहिए. मतलब क्या बोलना है, कहाँ बोलना है. Your thumbnail, you know, shows Rahul Gandhi as Uday Shetty, and वो भी वैसे ही रिएक्ट कर रहा होगा. कहाँ बैठा हूँ, किससे बात कर रहा हूँ, क्या बात कर रहा हूँ. Literally, the Congress has reduced itself to a meme material. And you know, the morning the debate was, and I was at times now, that they said Sam Pitroda's statement will be quickly disowned by the Congress, which is what happened 10 minutes later. I said, but you need to also understand that this is a man who has been with the Congress for generations now. ये कोई election season का exactly, ये कोई election season की migratory bird नहीं है कि चलो चुनाव आए हैं, राहुल गांधी के पास चलिए प्रेस में आए. He is as embedded in the ecosystem of the Congress party as a Jairam Ramesh's, as a Manishankar Iyer was once, as a Kapil Sibal was once, as an Abhishek Manu Singhvi is even today. What Sam Pitroda says, if not probably directly, but indirectly in a very, very strong manner, represents the view of the Congress. जयराम रमेश आते हैं, वो लाखों लोगों के मेंटर है. पहले तो ये लाखों लोग मुझे दिखा दो, मुझे 1000 लोग दिखा दो जिनके सैम पिट्रोडा मेंटर है. And he has these, you know, Jairam Ramesh tried to make him sound like some eccentric who has these brilliant ideas once in a while and he keeps throwing them in the air. Just because you have a hairstyle like that, it doesn't mean you're Albert Einstein, right? It doesn't really mean that. But the Congress disowned because they realized the damage that was done. You wake up in the morning, I was driving to work and suddenly the entire timeline is filled with that one video. And I'll tell you, Kushal, why it got picked up. Hadn't it not been for Rahul Gandhi's utterances in the last 1 week, no one would have cared.
Exactly.
What political capital Sam Pitroda has? Absolute zero. What political relevance does Sam Pitroda have in the 2024 elections? Absolute zero. Can Sam Pitroda even influence an election of a school monitor in any city of India? Absolutely not. But because Rahul Gandhi has been on a rampage for the last 6 months, आप सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर में वापस जाइए. पब्लिक मेमोरी शॉर्ट है, हमारा काम है याद दिलाना, क्योंकि बात होगी तो सारी बातें खुलेंगी. जितनी आबादी उतना हक. तब इतनी बात होती थी। तब लोगों को लगता था बात रिजर्वेशंस की हो रही है, थोड़ा सरकारी जॉब में इधर उधर मामला हो जाएगा। प्रॉब्लम वहां ये हुई that he took this message to OBCs. Now, people who may not follow Indian polity that closely or from a caste perspective, they should not believe that like Mayawati had this entire vote bank of SCs consolidated behind her once, or like OAC has a vote bank, or Samajwadi has a vote bank of Muslims in their respective states. The OBCs do not vote as a homogeneous group. They do not vote en bloc. तो राहुल गांधी मध्य प्रदेश में मैसेज लेके जाते हैं और वहां कोई ओबीसी बैठा कह रहा है, इसका मतलब क्या है? एम्बिग्विटी डे वन से कांग्रेस का स्टाइल ये रहा है, राहुल गांधी का तो बिल्कुल रहा है। That message fails to find any resonance with the voter. Madhya Pradesh, 160 plus seats for the BJP. Nothing that could turn the 18 years of anti-incumbency. BJP comes back way more strongly than even the most professional of the pollsters predicted. एक महीना राहुल गांधी जी शांत हो जाते हैं क्योंकि दिसंबर का झटका लगा है, यूरोप में क्रिसमस भी होता है, छुट्टी भी है, बहुत चीजें हैं, and people think maybe he's given up on that pursuit. In fact, Shivani Gupta was on the election trail from CNN and she asked Shashi Tharoor, what do you make of this slogan? And Shashi Tharoor was like, he's not used it for a few months now. Dude, that's not how it works. I mean, that is one election goldess I would really want her to play again on 4th of June. But he starts again this time, but far more viciously, far more dangerously. He goes from Jitni Abadi Utna Hak to wealth redistribution. Equity they start talking about. You throw in these fancy jargons and you think amongst your, group of yes, sir, and you are right, sir, you can never be wrong, sir, you are our God, sir. You think you're creating something very revolutionary. You're not. So, फेब मार्च तक बात वापस आती है, जितनी आबादी उतना हक, caste census. Why Rahul Gandhi obsesses over caste census is what people need to understand, and this has happened only after 2014. अब 2008, 9, 10 के वीडियोस उठा के देखिएगा, very different Rahul Gandhi, a very different India too. And Rahul Gandhi used to say, I don't care what people's caste is, I don't care where they come from, I just want to interact with them. The exuberance of youth probably back then. Today, he looks at every problem in the society with a caste filter. आप कह रहे हैं कि मुझे जाति जनगणना करवाना है, क्यों? आपका rationale क्या है? Then he says, because I want to map the caste and the subcaste, and from there I want to understand who has how much, and then on the basis of how many people exist within a group. Because jitni abadi, he says, utna hak. I want to divide India's resources. So OBCs to 20% nahi hai. OBCs might be a chunk of the population, but within the OBCs, there is no community which say, I'm 20%. Right? If we are going from the caste point of view. Within SCs also, we do not know what Rahul Gandhi's filter is. Will he drill it at the macro level, at the surface? Will he go down micro at the community? बिकॉज यूपी के कई गांव में, और ये नलिन मेहता जी की बुक में भी था, एक गांव में जो आपको लगता है एससी हैं, वो अगले गांव में अपर कास्ट होते हैं. There's a lot of, India's caste is another multiverse of madness in itself, right? So Rahul Gandhi, Feb, March, goes back to caste census. April, the manifesto comes out, and that is where everyone loses their shit, including the both of us. आप इक्विटी की बात कर रहे हो, आप बात कर रहे हो रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, आप बात कर रहे हो पॉलिसीज की, और हम इस पे भी आएंगे कि जो लोग कह रहे कि मैनिफेस्टो में नहीं, आज कांग्रेस का डिफेंस था, मैनिफेस्टो नहीं है. बट टू जस्ट रैप अप माय पॉइंट, why Rahul Gandhi is going after caste, there is a specific reason. He doesn't care about the economy. He doesn't care about the socio-economic transformation. Please understand this. What has changed after 2014? The Hindus are voting en bloc, at least majority of them. The causes are far more cultural and civilizational than they were once before 2014. That's the difference. Before 2014, the formula was for all these secular parties, be it the Samajwadi or the RJD, a consolidated minority, a divided majority. Majority को कास्ट पे बांटा, minority को डर पे consolidate किया, election जीता. 14 के बाद क्या हुआ? A consolidated majority, 14 because there was so much disgust against the Congress. The minority voted who they had to. which is significantly for the old traditional parties they go with. By 19, the caste starts to evaporate from India's political debate. Not entirely, but at a significant level, at least at the national level. And I'll tell you, in 2019, this was January, Arun Jaitley ji was at a book launch in Delhi, and it was, I think, Surjit Bhalla's book, where he made a very interesting prophecy. And, look back and you think how true it has come. He said there will be a time in India when caste will no longer be a factor in elections. It might come 10 years from now, 15, 20, but it will come. And there were a lot of people there from both sides of the spectrum, and they disagreed. No, sir, it can't really work. He said, you wait and watch. What happened between 14 and 19, Kushal, and why we are having this debate is to set up the context for the conversation we are going to have. बहुत लोगों को, और ये इस बात को, a lot of people for the first time had access to toilets. A lot of people for the first time had access to some very basic necessities, which we spoke about in the last podcast. And suddenly they realize, I don't care if I'm an SCF and an STI from this community, that community, I need a bloody toilet. I need water. I need cylinders. I need houses. I need credit to start my business. To the people watching this, just think about this. तुम्हारा Zomato का डिलीवरी वाला, Uber का ड्राइवर, ब्लिंकिट का डिलीवरी वाला, तुम्हारी अर्बन कंपनी से घर पे पेडिक्योर मैनिक्योर बाल काटने वाला, तुम्हें रेस्टोरेंट में खाना सर्व करने वाला, तुम्हारा मैकडॉनल्ड्स का अशर, तुम्हारे पीवीआर में तुम्हें अपनी सीट दिखाने वाला, तुमने आज तक परवाह मारी है कास्ट क्या है किसी की, रिलीजन भी क्या है किसी का? डू यू इवन हैव द, it's not that you don't want to ask, it's that you don't care, because that's how we are. Everyone within the economic spectrum wants to do well for themselves. So Rahul Gandhi's motivation to go for this caste census is to push India's politics to the pre-2014 times, where a party like the Congress can again divide the majority, consolidate the minority, get 150 odd seats in the Lok Sabha elections out of 540, get 20 odd seats from somewhere, get together a khichdi government. And who are the people who endorse this idea? Veterans of yesterday years in the news business. Unko, Kushal, I mean, pardon my French, but somehow some very old journalists have these wet dreams about the 1977 elections, कि 2024 में भी वही होगा, coalition बनेगी. And Raghuram Rajan also wrote in his book, that a coalition, breaking the mold, he wrote that. And we can put up a Kindle quote of it also, that a coalition government is better than a majority government. No, this is all bullcrap. So coming back, why Rahul Gandhi wants a caste census? Divided majority, consolidated minority. Nothing to do with economics.
Yeah, it's fascinating when Mr. Rajan had mentioned this, and this is the quote we're talking about. One possible hope is that a coalition of opposition parties, knowing the damage that such unbridled power acquired by any single party can do, will commit in its manifesto to changing the status quo. This is precisely what the Janata Party government, which was elected after the emergency, accomplished with the 43rd and 44th amendments to the Constitution. This is Raghuram Rajan, Rohit Lamba, breaking the mold, reimagining India's economic future. Is this reimagining India's economic future, or basically destroying whatever little is left of India's economic future, is something that you people who have your families intact have to ask. I want to make a philosophical point. I come from a background of philosophy. To me, and this has nothing to do with, and I will stick my neck out in the future if the BJP also gets something like the inheritance tax. I think the inheritance tax at a conceptual level is something that breaks society. Let me give it a best shot of explaining it from my philosophical perspective. Societies stand on the structure and the unit of the family. Unfortunately, people may not like to admit this. The leftism globally has become something that defeats the unit of the family. You may not like these facts. I'm a fierce individualist. Before somebody is like, Kushal, you're such a fierce individualist personally. Yes, I am. But I also understand the value of the family unit. I always ask for a secular state, but a mildly religious society. I have always been a votary of governance via secularism, but societal structures are important. They should be there. When you talk about the inheritance tax, basically you're attacking the unit of the family itself at a societal level.
Correct.
So that लोगों को डिसइंसेंटिवाइज करो, बिकॉज द लेफ्ट आइडियोलॉजी इज मैं तेरा पप्पा, मैं तेरी मम्मा, मैं तेरा दादा, मैं तेरी दादी. I want to tell every single leftist, तू मेरा पप्पा नहीं, तू मेरी मम्मा नहीं, तू मेरा दादा नहीं, तू मेरी दादी नहीं. मेरी फैमिली है. I love my parents. I love my in-laws. I love my extended family. I will take care of them. They will take care of me. Don't you dare come in between us. Don't you dare come in between. This wealth is taxed once. हम उसमें जो टैक्स देना है दे चुके हैं. You are nobody to come and tell us what I'm supposed to do with my gathered wealth. दूसरा, in a country like India, आज लोग एक अजीब फेज से जा रहे हैं. एसआरए होते हैं यार, लोग गरीब होते हैं. हाइपोथेटिकल सिनेरियो नहीं है ये, रियल वर्ल्ड सिनेरियो है. वो झोपड़े में रहता था, सडनली उसके झोपड़े की रिडेवलपमेंट हो गई मुंबई में. वो आदमी की झोपड़े का उसको 1 करोड़ मिला, उसकी औकात नहीं है 1 करोड़ की. ये घटिया लोग उस आदमी का वो लेके वो भिखारी हो जाएगा. और ऐसे लाखों लोग हैं इंडिया में. यार इनको शर्म नहीं आती है बात. आई एम सॉरी तुषार, आई टुक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, बट it really
No.
bothers me. At my core, this bothers me.
No, today what we're discussing, it's not just a policy issue. It's an emotional issue also. It's a cultural issue also. It's something that defines our civilization. Family, a unit, right? What are we without a family? Aap mujhe batao. As Hindus, as Sikhs, as Jains, Parsis, Muslims, Buddhists, whoever, whatever religion, what are we
Yes.
without a family? Look at the BJP, for instance. I'll give a very simple comparison. BJP अपने manifesto में डालती है, हम senior citizens के लिए above the age of 70, we'll make Ayushman Bharat compulsory. Avail that. We want that the families shouldn't be burdened by the cost of the treatment, medical treatment of their elders, the ones who can't afford it. They say, put your family together, we'll help you wherever we can. We'll give you a cover. ये आता है, कहता है परिवार के लिए जायदाद क्यों छोड़ के जानी है. अब एक सिंपल क्वेश्चन आप सोचो. लेट्स से देयर इज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, अ स्टार्टअप गाय, बैंगलोर में बैठा है. ही इज डन वेल फॉर हिमसेल्फ, पेज हिज टैक्सेस, सब टैक्स दिया उसने. अनफॉर्चुनेटली एट 35 एज ही पेरिशेस. His wife is young, his children are probably not even school going, kindergarten kids, his parents are in their 60s, late 50s, who knows. The state will knock at his door and say, madam, 55% will be grabbed by the government. Sam Pitroda का वो word था ना, grabbed. कोई 70 साल का है, मैं कहता हूं, उसने अपनी पूरी जिंदगी, he slogged off, worked hard. He built a house for his family. He built a house where his children could feel safe, their children could feel safe. He said, this is my contribution to the next 2 generations at least, that you have a shelter on your heads. I worked hard for it. Every penny I earned, I paid my taxes on it for the last 50 years I worked. I bought something as an input for my factory. I paid a tax for it. The state will knock at his door when he, leaves 55%. Why? मतलब ये idea क्या? And I'll tell you, Kushal, this idea first came up in 2011. For those who think that today Kushal and I are probably speculating or building castles in the air, there's an Indian Express report. And this happened because the tax to GDP ratio was falling back in 2011. And Chidambaram then, in a meeting of the Planning Commission or so, it was reported, said that we need to tax luxury items and we need to start thinking about inheritance tax. Now, this was 2011. And I'll tell you, 2011 was a very unique time in Indian economy because we were coming out of the 2008 recession. The government was lending generously. And we'll come to that part also, Adani also. And everyone felt that this was a good time to be in. Manmohan Singh, the economist, is taking our economy forward. We are in a V-shaped recovery, blah, blah, blah. But what was silently brewing was an NPA crisis, which would only be discovered after Narendra Modi took over in 2014-15 when the AQR, the Asset Quality Review, was ordered. तो 2011-12 बहुत एक इंटरेस्टिंग टाइम था कि आप लेंड भी कर रहे हो जेनरसली कॉर्पोरेट्स को, बट आपका टैक्स टू जीडीपी रेशियो भी संभल नहीं पा रहा और आप इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स की बात कर रहे हो. द न्यूज अगेन resurfaced in 2013 because Chidambaram was to present his last budget, at least for that government, in a few months before the national elections. Again, that came up. Fortunately, it did not go through. but we had a real estate, we had an estate act of the 1953, which was conveniently removed in 1985. We'll come to that also. But for those who think this is just some random idea, the Congress was thinking about it once upon a time. So please be very, Kushal, at the risk of being very over generous with the screenshots we post, I want we provide an evidence for everything.
Yeah,
Because
no, and that's the whole point. And this article for the audio listeners is on the 31st of May, 2011. It was written by the ENS Economic Bureau. The title of the Indian Express article was Tax Inheritance Luxury Items Chidambaram. To mobilize more resource, the government can consider taxing conspicuous consumption and imposing inheritance tax, according to Home Minister P. Chidambaram.
अब आप बताओ, मतलब हम वेल्थ क्रिएशन की बात करते हैं. I love that clip where that guy calls up someone on CNBC on live channel and says, my grandfather left me these many thousands of MRF shares. What are they worth today? In Congress's government, so as to, the one they intend to make, the Congress will come for him, the government will come for him and say, अरे भाई 55% शेयर तो पहले यहाँ ला. यार आप लोगों को, एक सरकार का काम पता है क्या है कुशलन? दिस इज माय पर्सनल ओपिनियन. सरकार के काम बस थोड़े से हैं. Create an atmosphere where people feel safe. Create an atmosphere where people can transact and run the economy. Create an atmosphere where the bureaucracy doesn't become a hindrance in the money part, and have a strong defense infrastructure with strategic interests. That's all any government should do. कौन कितना कमा रहा है, किसका टैक्स है. अच्छा, 1985 में जब ये हटाया गया था, तब आर्गुमेंट ये दिया जाता था कि लिटिगेशन कॉस्ट बहुत है to calculate the inheritance tax. Interestingly, there are some old newspapers, and we can only suspect, we can't confirm or we can't assert any objectives, but there were reports from that time. I think you have we discussed this clipping also, where Indira Gandhi left actually a part of her estate for her grandkids, valued around $173,000. And that's also a news article. Now, suddenly the Estate Act since 1953 goes away in 85, merely months after the death of our Prime Minister. I don't know what to make of it, but कुछ चीजें बहुत coincidental होती हैं. जैसे आज है, आज आपको दिख रहा है कि इंडिया की इकोनॉमी फ्लरिश कर रही है. अब एक मिडिल क्लास जो बनी है, अपने बच्चों के लिए कुछ छोड़ेगी. आप अपना कटोरा लेकर आ रहे हो कि. And Kushal, what if they wanted to know the donors of the electoral bonds for this very reason? कि सबसे पहले तो इनकी वेल्थ रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे. सोचा है किसी ने?
Everybody, and if people think nahi sirf ameeron ko karna chahiye. First of all, even on that inheritance tax issue, I mean, can you believe it? This man Sam Pitroda has been living in the United States of America since when? He didn't even know that there is no federal inheritance tax in the United States of America. 6 states have it. One of the states is in the process of removing it in the next 2 years. It's going to lapse away. The other 5 states have differing rates. I mean, यार मेरे को क्यों नहीं ऐसा कॉन्फिडेंस मिलता लाइफ में झूठ बोलने का. इट इज रिडिकुलस. मतलब मुझे भी ऐसा कोई कॉन्फिडेंस दो ना ये झूठ बोलने में. यार आप इतने कॉन्फिडेंस से अपनी मतलब बेवकूफी को दिखाते हो. यार बुरा क्या लगता है. He's an elderly man, or using words like stupidity. I don't like it because I've been raised in a different way in my culture. But यार आप मजबूर करते हो यार.
I'll tell you, he's always come across as a man who's very ignorant to the sentiments of people. इसका एक वीडियो भी चालू हो रखा है ट्विटर पे कि मिडिल क्लास शुड बी सेल्फिश, दे शुड बी रेडी टू पे मोर टैक्सेस.
हुआ तो हुआ.
1984 victims of the whole violence in Delhi, one-sided violence, हुआ तो हुआ. कैसे भाई क्या? And the Congress is also happy with these people latching on to them. Probably that's why the ones who are exiting the Congress now say that it's taken a worse turn for the left, loony left as they call it. So you never know.
Yeah, it's insane. And see, people say, oh, you guys are just picking on one statement. No, we're not. Didn't you go through the Congress manifesto on this very podcast? We covered the whole damn thing, point by point. I mean, do I have to remind you?
दोबारा चला देते हैं ना अब तो वो, क्योंकि कांग्रेस के लोग आके बोले कि हमारे मैनिफेस्टो में तो रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लिखा ही नहीं है.
तो नहीं वो क्या लैंड सरप्लस का क्या लिखा था फिर उन्होंने?
हाँ, वो
और
अफर्मेटिव एक्शन, हाँ चलाते हैं, चलो।
हाँ तो ये नहीं, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दिस। ये मेरे को यार, मेरे को तो रोना आ रहा है अभी। ये क्या लोग है यार, इतने कॉन्फिडेंस से कैसे झूठ बोलते हो यार? तुम्हारे मैंने अभी जैसे ये वाला पॉइंट था, ये भी तो कांग्रेस के मैनिफेस्टो में ही था ना। कांग्रेस विल एस्टैब्लिश एन अथॉरिटी टू मॉनिटर द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टू द पुअर गवर्नमेंट लैंड एंड सरप्लस लैंड अंडर द लैंड सीलिंग एक्ट्स। नहीं, मेरे को कांग्रेस से पूछना है, मेरे को यहाँ पे एक पॉइंट है, ये वक्फ में करेंगे क्या? क्योंकि मेरे को, मैं खुला बोल रहा हूं तुषार, ये सारे जो रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्लान्स है ना, ये मेरे वर्ड्स हैं, तुषार के नहीं है, ये सिर्फ हिंदुओं के ऊपर अप्लाई होने वाले हैं। ये क्यों? क्योंकि सारी एक्सेप्शंस कार्व करेगी कांग्रेस, माइनॉरिटी माइनॉरिटी माइनॉरिटी।
They are very clear that we'll protect the rights of the minority, so this will be taken. अब मेरा एक सिंपल सवाल है लैंड सरप्लस पे, will Rahul Gandhi's government, imagined government, go to Punjab and Haryana and tell the farmers there, part with your surplus land, let it be distributed to the marginal farmers? जिन किसानों को राहुल गांधी लीगल गारंटी दे रहा है एमएसपी की अपने मैनिफेस्टो में, क्या ये उनको जाके कहेगा सरप्लस लैंड ब्रिंग इट टू मी? जिन हरियाणा के किसानों के साथ ही खेतों में था, बहुत अच्छा फोटो अप हुआ था, कुछ इसके घर भी आए थे, will he tell them part with your surplus land? Because land to the farmers across India, उनके लिए वो भी एक मंगलसूत्र है, उनके लिए वो स्त्री धन से कम नहीं है। अच्छा, अब ये कहते हैं हम तो सरप्लस लैंड की बात करें। अच्छा, गवर्नमेंट लैंड भी कौन सा? लैंड इज ओन्ड बाय इंस्टीट्यूशन। सेंटर के लैंड भी सेंटर के इंस्टीट्यूशंस होते हैं। एयर इंडिया की जैसे एक बिल्डिंग है, फॉर वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल, या बीएसएनएल की, पर आर्मी का लैंड होता है, डिपार्टमेंट्स के लैंड होते हैं। व्हेन Nirmala Sitharaman came up with the national monetization plan for infrastructure, where she said, we look at the land parcels which can be monetized. She did not say we'll sell it away or give it away. She said that can be monetized, which can bring in additional revenue for the government. This party stood up and said, you are selling us silverware, you are giving away our land, you are privatizing everything. तुम क्या कर रहे हो? अच्छा, दोबारा वो अगर पेज खोलें या और पॉइंट्स देखें, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव बीन आस्किंग मैनिफेस्टो में कहा है, तो हम एक एक करके गिनाएंगे कि मैनिफेस्टो में कहा है, और आप अपने कन्वीनियंस के लिए जो पेज नंबर है, पन्ना नंबर है, वो नोट कर ले, याद हो जाना चाहिए। अब हम पहले पॉइंट पे आते हैं। Congress will conduct a nationwide socio-economic and caste census to enumerate the castes and subcastes and their socio-economic conditions. Based on the data, we'll strengthen the agenda for affirmative action. राहुल गांधी ने आज अपने सम्मेलन में क्या कहा कुशल? मेरी लाइफ का मिशन है ये कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है, मेरी लाइफ का मिशन है। आप मुझे बताओ, आप इनइक्वालिटी की बात करो। पहली बात तो हम इनइक्वालिटी की बात करते हैं। You've seen enough US than most of us. When they see economic inequality, do they look at race or do they look at actual economics, hard economics? Rahul Gandhi को लगता है economic inequality will be solved by putting the caste filter on it. That doesn't really work. If Rahul Gandhi's problem is that A earns far less than B, then he needs to talk about creating opportunities for A so that he can at least match up to B till a certain level, or maybe earn more than him depending on his skill and merit. राहुल गांधी कहता है मैं पहले ए की जाति का पता लगवाऊंगा, फिर बी की जाति का पता लगवाऊंगा, फिर देखूंगा कैसे कैसे बंटना चाहिए। अब आप मुझे बताओ, राहुल गांधी लॉजिक में, इफ ए टर्न्स आउट टू बी समवन फ्रॉम द अपर कास्ट, बी टर्न्स आउट टू बी समवन हु इज फार रिचर फ्रॉम द लोअर कास्ट, एंड राहुल गांधी इज डिक्शनरी, क्या करेगा राहुल गांधी? कोई बात तुक्की नहीं है ना इस बात का। मतलब हम, मेरे को बोलते हुए बेवकूफ लग रहा हूं मेरे को कि आपको इकोनॉमिक इनइक्वालिटी सॉल्व करनी है, कास्ट फिल्टर का यहाँ क्या काम है? एंड व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय एजेंडा फॉर अफर्मेटिव एक्शन? एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई पोस्टेड अ ट्वीट दैट डे व्हिच वेंट क्रेजी वायरल, एंड द कांग्रेसीज देन स्टार्टेड अब्यूजिंग मी लेफ्ट राइट सेंटर। आई सेड देयर इज ओनली अ फ्यू वेज फॉर अफर्मेटिव एक्शन। या तो तुम सीधा बोलोगे तुम्हारे बैंक से इतना पैसा जाएगा, डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर कैश फ्लो एनुअली, बिकॉज अब डिजिटल है, we'll see how much do you owe to the state. Or you will come for the surplus gold, or you will come from the surplus land, which they already have mentioned, or you will start penalizing corporations. How else are you going to go about your affirmative action? नोट तो छापने लग नहीं जाओगे। तो all those who are saying manifesto में नहीं, affirmative action क्या है? एक तो वर्डिंग इतनी नेगेटिव है।
यार नहीं, मेरे को टेंशन क्या हो रही है मालूम है, कि मर मर के हमारी देश की है ना एक दिशा हुई है। ये आदमी मतलब ये हमको कहाँ लेके जाना चाहता है?
देखो
इट्स अ
दो
जेन्युइन
बातें हैं
क्वेश्चन।
दो बातें हैं। या तो ये पब्लिक को कर रहा है गुमराह कि लेट्स प्ले टू द गैलरी, एंड बिकॉज देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट रूरल पॉपुलेशन इन द विलेजेस, अब तो विलेजेस भी मॉडर्नाइज होते जा रहे विद द इंटरनेट, मैं वहां पर एक आई मेक अ वोट बैंक फॉर माई सेल्फ अक्रॉस इंडिया, दैट्स व्हाट हिज थिंकिंग इज। या तो फिर ही genuinely means it, he genuinely believes in it, because once someone very close to the Congress in the media circles told me that Rahul Gandhi genuinely believes, that's his conviction. Maybe his conviction is writing checks his political capital can't cash, but that's how it is. that he genuinely believes कि उसको पता है लोगों के लिए भला क्या है, जैसे अरविंद केजरीवाल को पता था लोगों के लिए भला में क्या है। So if he genuinely means that, I am very, very scared. People are already saying that we'll hold on to our investments. And Kushal, I'm telling you, if Sensex is at 100 today, 100 units today, if Rahul Gandhi comes, it will crash by 50%. We all will see it. ऐसा मुझे लगता है, ये मेरा opinion है।
Boss, this man scares me so much. This ideology scares me so much. But when I listen to him now, it sounds like the Communist Manifesto or something. What he's talking about, like this is batshit crazy Marxism. I mean, why don't people not get that Marxism has not worked anywhere other than their wild dreams? Like, my man is a full-blown Marxist here. And I don't care. I'm a citizen of India पहले। मतलब यार तुमको, मतलब I don't care। और मेरे को मेरे देश की नहीं पड़ी है क्या? मेरा देश बर्बाद हो रहा है, ये भाई तो ऐसी वाहियात चीजें मतलब कह रहा है कि मतलब what he says is Marxism. I will take your shit away. I will redistribute it. We will have a revolution. ओ भाई जी तो तुसी रेवोल्यूशन लानी है, मैं मर जाना है तो ਤੁਹਾਡੀ रेवोल्यूशन ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। and tell me, where has it worked? Where has it worked? Can you tell me one place on planet Earth? साला चाइना में सो कॉल्ड मार्क्सिस्ट रेवोल्यूशनरीज को भी कैपिटलिस्ट होना पड़ा। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि the only thing that works in life is freaking capitalism. It's
Absolutely.
flawed, but it's the only freaking thing that works. इनकी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आई थिंक एट समवेयर डाउन इन हिज psyche, he's gone for this scorched earth kind of a mentality where he's like, if I'm going down, I'm burning the whole show down with you guys. And I'm like, यार ये कोई बात हुई? आपको यार, you are a multi-billionaire politician, your mother has inherited so many things, आपको तो कुछ फर्क नहीं होने वाला है। हम तो बेचारे वो नहीं हालत में, हम तो
होगा
मर जाएंगे।
अभी देखो, महीना पहले इनका आईटी नोटिस आए टैक्स के, हमें पीनलाइज क्यों करा जा रहा है, वी आर अ पुअर पार्टी। डिपॉजिट में इन्होंने हजारों करोड़ रुपए है, हमें क्यों पीनलाइज कर रहे हो? आपकी एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली में देयर इज अ बिजनेसमैन, आई एम नॉट सेइंग बिजनेसमैन आर बैड, you have a businessman in your extended family, your brother-in-law of all people. People who represent you in the media, many of them are lawyers who have declared assets worth hundreds of crores. And they have been defending you for over a decade. Even your fired spokespersons lead a very respectable life in terms of economics. उनकी भी अपनी संपत्ति है, जो भी कमाई है करी है जैसे भी है। आपके राज्यसभा एमपीज देख लो, सब अच्छे घरों से आते हैं, रॉयल्टीज। You look at your current and former chief ministers. I mean, are you going to tell them part with your wealth? कल मैं 9 PM वाले डिबेट में था, and I asked 3 spokespersons of the RJD, of the Congress and of the समाजवादी पार्टी। मैं कहा यार तुम खुद अपनी वेल्थ छोड़ दोगे अगर राहुल गांधी बोलता है? नहीं नहीं, ये वो ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, ब्लफिंग, ऑल ब्लफिंग। ये लोग ऐसे ही अपने पैसे को तो हाथ नहीं लगाएंगे, लोगों के पैसे को हाथ लगाएंगे, और पॉलिसीज के थ्रू तो बोल रहे हैं वील हैव पॉलिसीज, नीचे एक जगह है इनकम एंड वेल्थ वाले पॉइंट में। अगर आपको लोगों की कमाई की परवाह, यू वांट देम टू अर्न मोर, यू टॉक अबाउट इनकम, यू टॉक अबाउट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, यू टॉक अबाउट जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज, वेयर डज द वेल्थ कम फ्रॉम? ये देश का एक्सरे करना है, इंस्टाग्राम और फेसबुक पर बैठे युवा, उनके अकाउंट में साल का 1 लाख रुपए, महीने का 8,500 रुपए ठकाटक ठकाटक ठकाटक, क्या ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनने की कैपेसिटी है आपकी? And again, people who are watching this, you may think this all is very frivolous, But this is not a state assembly election. This is not an MCD election. This is not a Kejriwal election that he'll promise all the freebies in the world and get away with it without any accountability. This is the grand old party of India. They just need 100 seats and they'll find even the worst parties to stitch a coalition with and run the government. And there comes the scorched earth policy.
Yeah. I mean, it scares me. All these things scare me. This mindset scares me. And now I want to focus a bit on this minoritarianism. Ki, they are saying, oh, they didn't say the money will not go to Muslims, money this, money that. But listen, I don't know. I mean, I just don't trust the Congress, because can they give me a guarantee that this money is not going to go first to Muslims? Do you think we should talk about that? Because, they started accusing the Prime Minister once again that, oh, you're just milking the thing.
No,
Dr.
but
Manmohan Singh
be
did not say
very
this.
honest
Dr.
about
Manmohan Singh did not say that.
No.
Can I just play that clip if you give me a moment? So this is what Dr. Manmohan Singh had said, right? In, I think this was 2006 or something. I just want to play that clip because I till this day, Tushar, I remember this speech and this scared the shit out of me. So this is what Dr. Manmohan Singh had said.
To devise innovative plans to ensure that minorities, particularly the Muslim minority, are empowered to share equitably in the fruits of development. They must have the first claim.
Point number one, nobody asked Dr. Manmohan Singh in this speech to say emphasis was added by Dr. Manmohan Singh, not by me. He said particularly Muslims. I didn't ask him to.
The Congress has had enough time. I think 2006, we're in 24, 18 years to say, no, we disagree. We do not attach ourselves to the statement. They've not done that. They haven't. अच्छा, मैं इसको ना एक सेकंड रिलीजन का फिल्टर हटा के छोड़ दो. 70s and 80s, the then Congress government advocated हम दो हमारे दो. संजय गांधी तो इमरजेंसी में सबको पता है क्या प्रोग्राम्स चले, ठीक है? In principle, the Congress was right that have kids only if you can give them resources and the right care. मतलब उतने बच्चे आप लाइए दुनिया में जितने आप अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं. सीधी सी बात है. Look at it from an economic filter. Political आप 2 मिनट के लिए बाहर रख दीजिए. Today Rahul Gandhi says जितनी आबादी उतना. अब किसी के घर में 10 बच्चे हैं, चाहे वो अफोर्ड करे या ना करे, राहुल गांधी की डिक्शनरी में जितनी आबादी उतना हक एंड ही इज अ नीडी, और किसी के घर 2 बच्चे हैं. It just adds up itself purely on the basis of maths and economics. I'm not getting into the religion. That 10 children family might be a Hindu family for all I care. But what are you trying to do? You are taking away capital from 4 taxpayers and you're telling, लीजिए. राहुल गांधी बोला कि मैं 1 रुपया जो अडानी को गया है, मैं आपको वो किसान को 1 रुपया दूंगा. ठीक है? आप मुझे बताओ, and people need to understand any business in the world, whatever its value, it might have an annual turnover of 10 crore, it might have an annual turnover of 10,000 crore, it might be Ambani, it might be a Bill Gates, it might be a Chinese company. They all need credit to do the business. सब बैंकों के सहारे चलते एक वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप होता है, बहुत टेक्निकल चीजें होती है. लेट्स नॉट गेट इनटू द टेक्निकलिटीज. The important point is no credit, no business. That is why in 2008, when the banks were on the risk of collapsing after Lehman collapse, the first priority of the US government was, US Federal Reserve was, to give money to the banks to loan out to the people so as to the businesses can continue, because no business means no economy, means no employment, means the entire system comes down crashing. Rahul Gandhi very happily says, 1 रुपया अडानी को जा रहा है, मैं किसान को दूंगा. तूने अडानी को बंद कर दिया, ठीक है. फिर किसको बंद करेगा? Because you can shut down Adani once, but the poor people you're saying you want to feed, you want to give a fish to each day, They'll need a fish each day then. They'll ask for a fish every day. You shut down Adani one day, you shut down the next big corporate the other, the third then. By the end of the week, hundreds and hundreds of corporations would have moved out of India. Hundreds and hundreds of them.
Why I played that?
Please, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to back up your thing by putting a thing of the manifesto up, because why this minority ka clip we have played is that they say minority, but they add particularly Muslims, right? And then they say this in their manifesto.
We will ensure that the minorities receive their fair share of opportunities in education, healthcare, public employment, public works contracts, skill development, sports, and cultural activities without discrimination. What are your grounds for deciding if someone is being discriminated against, first of all? And why are you assuming only the minorities are being discriminated against?
Not only that, when your prime minister says minorities, bracket emphasis added by him, particularly Muslims, then this manifesto has to be taken in that sense. How can you say I should not take this manifesto in that sense? Can somebody tell me in the right sense? And I want to show one more point of the manifesto, because ये कैसा होता है में, and it's एक तो यार कांग्रेस इतना मेहनत करवाती है यार, ये सब चीजें बार बार निकालनी पड़ती है, साला तुम्हारी वजह से इतना काम करना पड़ता है हमको पॉडकास्ट के लिए, मतलब क्या कहूं.
Kushal and I fact check on the go, and we fact check without any selective bias.
Yeah.
अपन वो महीने के टारगेट वाले फैक्ट चेक करने, अगर हम कुछ कह रहे हैं लाइक टू बैक अप
और ये कांग्रेस will establish a diversity commission that will measure, monitor and promote diversity in public private employment and education. यार आदमी ये बहुत डराते हैं यार, ये लोग क्या क्या करने वाले हैं ये लोग.
ये रघुराम राजन की बुक में भी था, ब्रेकिंग द मोल्ड में. There is a quote, I think probably, which will be somewhere around, where he talks about diversity. Now, what does diversity really mean?
वो ह्यूमन कैपिटल के बारे में ना, ह्यूमन कैपिटल के बारे में.
हाँ, अच्छा आपका क्या काम है? मेजर, मॉनिटर, प्रमोट. What business does? No, I think there is diversity in firms के नाम से, right?
Okay, yeah, हाँ, diversity in firms. Sorry, diversity in firms. Yeah,
right.
यार ये लोग इतना डराते हैं ना, मतलब आदमी एक तो इतने सारे कोट्स देख के ऐसा आदमी को थोड़ा टेंशन होनी शुरू हो जाती है कि मैं पैदा ही क्यों हुआ. ये साला ये लोग ऐसा डराने के लिए पैदा हुए हैं. साला एक आदमी ये पढ़े और ये तो नहीं बोलना कि रघुराम राजन इज नॉट एडवाइजिंग दीज पीपल. ये बोला ना तो मतलब तुमसे बड़ा झूठा कोई नहीं होएगा पैदा हुआ धरती पे. ये तो कम से कम झूठ नहीं बोलना यार.
People connect the dots. 2006 में क्या कहा गया, 2011 में जो एक सब कोटा लाया गया, उस पर भी हम आएंगे. बट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द बिजनेसेस. राहुल गांधी इज गोइंग टू, yes. And Raghuram Rajan is talking about private universities here. Let's be very clear.
Read the quote, because log audio mein bhi sunne wale. So let me read the quote. This is again from the same book, Breaking the Mold, where Mr. Rajan says, what about private universities and firms? They should focus on diversity as a desirable goal, not just to correct disadvantages, but also to strengthen the quality of their intake and output. For instance, the hardships a student has overcome to reach the entrance to the college often signals their determination and resilience. This all sounds very good, by the way. Such a student should be given some additional preference by a university over someone else who is otherwise approximately equal on every other dimension. The student's score on the multidimensional index of deprivation discussed above could be one guide to the hardship distance a student has traveled. Similarly, social pressures as well as government nudges and norms should push private firms to work harder to hire from truly disadvantaged groups. They never define who is truly disadvantaged, and the Prime Minister says particularly Muslims. And then if you don't trust us, can I also show one more piece of evidence to back up us, because they don't accuse us? Because अगर तुमको Prime Minister से चैन नहीं मिला तो मैं तुमको Chief Minister दिखाता है. तुमको बोलोगे 2006 का है भाई, ये तो लेटेस्ट है ना, ये कनाडा में है, मगर सिद्धरामಯ್ಯ जी कनाडा में ये बोलते हैं
ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಇಂದಿನ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧರ್ಮ ಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಕೇಂದ್ರಗಳಿದಾವಲ್ಲ ಅವುಗಳ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನಿಮಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. ಯುವರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಭಾರತೀಯರಲ್ವಾ? ಈ ದೇಶ ನಿಮಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು, ನನಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು, ನನಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ನಿಮಗೂ ಹಂಚತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಧರ್ಮದವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾತಿಯವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ನಾನು ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಹಿಂದಿನ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧರ್ಮ ಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಕೇಂದ್ರಗಳಿದಾವಲ್ಲ ಅವುಗಳ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನಿಮಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. ಯುವರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಭಾರತೀಯರಲ್ವಾ? ಈ ದೇಶ ನಿಮಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು, ನನಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು, ನನಗೂ ಸೇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ನಿಮಗೂ ಹಂಚತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಧರ್ಮದವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ
As if this was not enough, I want to show another piece of news to back this up even more. This was the Chief Minister of Karnataka saying, I'm going to redistribute your wealth to Muslims. This is the long story short of that clip. And you might say, oh, how can you back it up? Yeah, I can, because this is literally what they've done in the form of first step. So this is as per the data from the Karnataka government. All castes and communities of Muslims of Karnataka have been included in the list of OBCs for reservation in employment and educational institutions under the state government. Under category 2B, all Muslims of Karnataka state have been considered as OBC. They're eating into who? I'm sorry, who are they eating into here? A question has to be asked here. And it's not communal to ask this question. And this is the list of the castes that they've mentioned.
No, when Congress says that we are not about minority appeasement, they should stop lying. I think the Congress has reached that point in its political journey where they should say, yes, we stand for the minorities, and we stand only for the minorities.
Not even minorities, yeah. Which is why you remember when we discussed the manifesto, I was bold enough to is Congress the Muslim League? I think they are the Muslim League.
Yeah, they are.
And the sensible Muslims should dump the Congress, is because this will polarize the society so much that every other community will go into the BJP bracket, and Muslims will be marginalized, left voting for the Congress all the time. Muslims should realize Congress is the most anti-Muslim party.
And what is happening in these elections? In UP, for instance, Samajwadi and the Congress are in an alliance, and OAC has declared that he might contest on some seats in UP, Bihar, and Gujarat. The Congress is unhappy about it, because they don't care about the quality of votes. They want a consolidated minority vote, hope for some people from the majority to vote for them, and that would be the game for them. So Congress, one has to understand, it pretends to be the party of the Muslims, but it's only doing a great disservice to the entire community at large. आप उनको एक वोट बैंक की तरह देखते हो. जैसे आपने हिंदुइज्म को देखना, आप कास्ट का फिल्टर लगाते हो, आप मुस्लिम्स को देख रहे हो तो आप वोट बैंक का फिल्टर लगा रहे हो. This is the Congress's politics summed up. At least OAC is honest that this is what I want to be known as. This is the politics I want to be known for. So scattered constituency probably in Maharashtra or Aurangabad I'll win. In Bihar I'll try for a Kishanganj. I might win, I might not. In Hyderabad I'll have my traditional victory, and that's the end of it. He's honest about it. Akhilesh Yadav is very clear. This is what I want to do. The Congress puts up this pretense, and that pretense is then aggravated by the likes of 9 PM anchors, who I would not like to name, but it's very evident who. जिनको लगता है कि प्रियंका गांधी की ये लाइन थी जो मेरी माँ ने अपना मंगलसूत्र त्याग किया, it was the line of the election so far. I have a very simple question. The man we lost on that day was not just Priyanka Gandhi's father or Sonia Gandhi's husband.
Yes,
He was a
he was our
former
prime
prime minister. He was a former prime minister of India. He, in all probability, would have been another, another tenure as the prime minister of India. Who knows for how long in that life, right? Had that unfortunate incident not happened. When you pardoned the killers, the people involved, imagine what went through the people of India. What about their sentiments? उनका त्याग नहीं था, उनका सैक्रिफाइस नहीं था. हर कोई तो 1989 से बीजेपी वोटर नहीं था ना. जो आज बीजेपी वोट कर रहे हैं, शायद वो 1984 में, 89 में, they were Congress voters. Who know they were Congress voters until 2004. Gujarat wasn't a BJP bastion in 1989. What about their sentiments? The country lost a former prime minister, and one 9 p.m. anchor thinks, so this is the line of the election. No, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. He belonged to everyone. He belonged to the country and he was seen as such. And he would have been very disappointed by the kind of politics his party is playing today. Communist Party ka manifesto aaya, to usme likha tha, we'll do away with the nuclear weapons. We'll, sort of eliminate them. The Congress is in alliance with that party. Okay? Will the Congress clarify its stance today? And if you ask them to clarify their stance, they say, we got Pokhran 1 done. I'm like, you're absolutely right. But then Indira Gandhi also used to say we have to rise above caste politics. Why aren't you following that? This version of Congress, Kushal, I think even Indira Gandhi, Nehru, Rajiv Gandhi, Sanjay Gandhi, anyone from the past, even the people who were in the independence movement, they would look at it and say, what has gone wrong with this party? Why are they against wealth creation? Why are they coming after the wealth creators? And people need to understand, you do not have wealth creators, you won't have an economy. The state looks very nice theoretically. Someone sitting in Germany and making videos, दोस्तों ऐसा होना चाहिए. नहीं दोस्तों, आपको आत्मनिर्भर होना है. आपको स्टेट 1 दिन खिलाएगा, 2 दिन खिलाएगा, खाते खाते आपको आदत पड़ जाएगी. 10वें दिन तक ना आमदनी होगी, ना अर्थव्यवस्था होगी. What will you have then? A communist state plagued by poverty, in comparison to the liberal democracy with ample room for capitalism and some degree of socialism as well. So people need to understand. Today we are sitting and telling you that what if the government brings in a policy, because policy shabdon ke manifesto mein hai, that you can't own a surplus of gold. Ki 5 kilo se zyada sona nahi ho sakta kis paas, ya 500 gram se zyada nahi ho sakta. People, Kushal, women especially, and people who are married understand probably the sentiment more than the ones who are not. The emotional attachment a woman has to gold, probably a man doesn't, but a woman, a mother, a sister, a bride. What is the message that you are sending them? And let's be very clear, you might blame the Prime Minister for saying आप स्त्री धन पे पहुंच गए. तुमने कौन सा क्लैरिफाई कर दिया? तुम तो एम्बिग्विटी पे एम्बिग्विटी कर रहे हो. तुम वहां पर खड़े होकर दिल्ली में 2 दिन गायब रहने के बाद कह रहे हो क्रांतिकारी है ना मैनिफेस्टो. What is this smirk? क्रांतिकारी है ना? नहीं है. You are scaring people. Even the ones who might want to vote out of you because they're gullible and they see some videos and they believe that somehow this country is a dictatorship, they are asking themselves, जो साउथ दिल्ली का जोक चल रहा है ना, क्या मेरा 6.5 करोड़ का ग्रेटर कैलाश का घर भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होगा? I mean, imagine being so sinister in your understanding of the Indian economy that you have managed to scare everyone across the political spectrum.
वाहियात लोग हैं.
And wealth redistribution for what? What has this government not done? अच्छा चलो wealth redistribution पे बात करते हैं. तुम्हें लोगों को पैसा देना है, तुम लाख रुपया दे रहे हो महिलाओं को, क्या करोगे? People, I think कांग्रेस में कोई तो होगा जिसको इतना पता होगा कि अगर एक कमरे में 100 लोग हैं और उन 100 लोगों को 1 लाख रुपए दे दिया जाए तो वो अमीर नहीं होते. Basic principle of economics. They don't understand that. You had 60 years until 2014, roughly 65, 67 years. Okay, let's take out the BJP years and the Janata Party years in between. 60 years roughly. तुमसे टॉयलेट्स नहीं बनाए गए, तुमसे बैंक अकाउंट नहीं खुलवाए गए, तुमसे सिलेंडर नहीं दिए गए, तुमसे घर नहीं बनवाए गए, तुमसे पानी नहीं पहुंचवाया गया, तुमसे हेल्थ कवर नहीं दिया गया, तुम्हें स्ट्रीट वेंडर के लोन्स का नहीं पता था, तुम्हें मुद्रा के लोन्स का नहीं पता था, तुम्हें कोलैटरल फ्री लोन्स का नहीं पता था. आज तुम आके बता रहे हो इक्विटी क्या है. What kind of hypocrisy is this? Raghuram Rajan was the first one who advises the Congress, by the way, to say Mudra loans will trigger the next NPA crisis. What was Congress doing when the NPA crisis happened? And just to clear the air, if we have time for that, I want you to put up that screenshot, I think, which is about the corporate lending. It should be there.
Corporate lending.
It's
by
credit
whom?
trap. No, it's
Credit
it's
trap.
called
Yeah,
credit
credit trap. Yeah, credit trap. Yeah.
tap. Just
Yeah,
put
yeah,
up that screenshot, please.
yeah.
आज ना एक चीज है, और जितने लोग ये कांग्रेस के नैरेटिव में फंसते हैं ना, अडानी अडानी अडानी, I really want you to take a look at this screen grab from a very prominent report called House of Debt, which was released in 2012 by a gentleman called Tushar Gupta, who was with Credit Suisse. Look at this screen grab. Between FY07 and FY12, look at the CAGR. I'm not complaining that the Congress was giving out loans to these corporations. I'm not complaining that the highest CAGR of 74% was for Adani Enterprise. I'm not complaining about that. Or for SR, or for GMR, GVK, all of them. Later, which turned out to be a few of them as NPAs. I'm not complaining that the top 10 group debt had a CAGR lending growth of 40% across the 5 years, while the banking system loans were at 20%. I'm not complaining. I'm only saying that if you in the government, led by the likes of Chidambaram, Pranab Mukherjee, Manmohan Singh, understood that corporations required credit to flourish, for wealth to be created, why do you demonize one of these wealth creators and this government for doing the very same thing? You look at the numbers here, and one would argue, that's why I said in 2011, when the government was pushing, the then Congress government was pushing for a minority sub-quota and inheritance tax ki discussion thi, aisa lending ki sthiti thi. And this report is publicly available. It's on my Twitter timeline every 4th day, if I have to reply to a fired spokesperson of the Congress who says Adani is somehow linked to a big scam. आप मुझे बताओ, ये स्क्रीनशॉट देखिए, 2 अगस्त 2012 की रिपोर्ट है, तब तो मोदी प्राइम मिनिस्टरियल कैंडिडेट नहीं थे ना। आज आप कह रहे हो अडानी का 1 रुपया लेकर मैं किसानों में दे दूंगा। आप कॉर्पोरेशंस के लिए अगर ऐसी पॉलिसीज बनाओगे, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स पे तो ये ऑलरेडी कुशल चिल्लाते हैं कि आपने कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स क्यों बढ़ा दिया, हम उसे अपनी फ्रीबी स्पॉन्सर करते। They are going to have a direct impact on the employment prospects. There are going to be layoffs. That's going to be inevitable. It's simple economics. I'm not quoting any rocket science here. I wouldn't like to pretend
बर्बाद कर देंगे।
I won't sit here and pretend कि जो मैं कह रहा हूँ बहुत ही मतलब ना अलग ही दुनिया का ज्ञान है, बहुत बेसिक कॉमन सेंस है, सामान्य किताबी ज्ञान है, फिर भी आप कुछ और क्या सोच रहे हो पता नहीं। अच्छा, आप रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की भी बात करो ना, one can say that Rahul Gandhi wants specific industries to focus in specific areas of the country. One would still understand that maybe he wants more manufacturing in the densely populated parts of UP and Bihar because there is a room for labor there. I would still understand. Even though they're far from the coastal coast of India, even though the logistics costs would be another parameter, you've done business, you would know all this. I would still say maybe he's thinking in some direction. ये तो कह रहा है ठका तुम घर बैठ के इंस्टाग्राम चलाओ, मैं 1 लाख रुपया दूंगा। No. And किससे दूंगा? Wealth redistribute करूंगा। Kushal, remember the first time we started discussing farmer protests? I think it's been 2 months to that. The first question we asked, the very first question, life comes a full circle that way. Fiscal feasibility of your promises. मैनिफेस्टो के दिन भी हम 1 महीना पहले यही बात पूछ रहे थे, फिस्कली कैसे पॉसिबल है। आज वो जवाब मिल रहे हैं, वेल्थ ले लेंगे, रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर देंगे। Why should the government decide if let's say today I earn 1 CR a year, tomorrow I may earn 100 CR a year, why should the government get to decide मैं कितने CR कमाऊं? कोई कितने CR क्यों कमाए? मैं अपने बच्चों को एक कौड़ी ना छोड़ के जाऊं, मैं अपने बच्चों को 100 के 100 करोड़ दे दूं, सरकार क्यों बताए? वो अपना टैक्स देंगे जैसे मैंने दिया, अगर वो कोई कारोबार करते हैं, वो कुछ बिजनेस करते हैं, कुछ कमाते हैं, जो भी they'll pay their taxes. So Rahul Gandhi, if we connect all the dots together, we go back to 2006 and you have the links also, 2011 ke wo do upar. 2006, Manmohan Singh says minorities, particularly Muslims, must have the first share, equitable, development, ye wo, blah, blah, blah. 2011, the center then comes up with a minority subquota of 4.5%. 2013-14 तक वो hearing का wait करते नहीं मिलता.
This one.
हाँ. Yes, इसकी date दिखा दीजिए एक बार आप please.
It's 18th February 2014, an article from Live Mint.
And 2011 में जब ये सब कोटा अनाउंस हुआ था ना कुशल, it was 3 months before the UP state elections. I don't know how many of you remember that time Rahul Gandhi was doing this very publicized पद यात्रा. He was on every magazine cover. UP में चल रहे थे तब, ठीक है?
Oh yeah. Oh no, let me talk about let me share that article too. People have a very short memory, right? People forget. This is the one, right?
Yes.
The story ahead of the Uttar Pradesh Assembly polls, cabinet clears 4.5% minority quota. यार ये मतलब it's this is on the 23rd of December 2011. I mean,
Second line, within the existing 27% quota for the other backward classes.
And then how do they say when the Prime Minister accuses them कि ये SC ST OBC community का share खा रहे हैं? How do you accuse the Prime Minister, man? I mean, have some shame.
ये तो कहते हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर ओबीसी नहीं है, तो उनके ओबीसी को भी डिसाइड करेंगे. तुम ओबीसी नहीं हो, तुम भाजपा वोटर हो, तुम ओबीसी नहीं हो. Connect the dots. Now this is, we are in 2011, 2014 this government gets voted out. 2019 in the hope of coming back they run the whole intolerance debate. मेरा साफ सा मानना है 2014 में जो आईएससी मूवमेंट था वो भाजपा के वोट काटने के लिए था, वो कांग्रेस के वोट काट गया. 2019 में उन्होंने सोचा इंटॉलरेंस का डिबेट चलाएंगे, बट द पेट्रियोटिक सेंटिमेंट वाज प्रीटी मच देयर एंड लाभार्थी वोटर भी तब तक क्रिएट होना शुरू हो गया था, वहां ये हार गए. 24 में इनको लगता है लेट्स गो वाइल्ड वेस्ट वोक and we'll win an election. So all this appeasement to the minorities, and they're not doing them any favor. Let's be very clear about it. I think probably another podcast, they're destroying them in the long run. So all in all, connect the dots. What Sam Pitroda said today is getting so much attention because what has been read and heard and discussed for the last 18 years since 2006. Why we are worried about actual inheritance tax और actual wealth redistribution कि कल को मेरी नीचे खड़ी हुई गाड़ी कोई ले ना जाए कि भाई तुम ये गाड़ी per capita income average national income से ऊपर है, दे दो. Because I don't know if this Congress is bluffing, if this Congress actually means it, because neither their manifestos have clarity, neither their leader has clarity. The bunch of spokespersons actually have no idea. Let me be very honest with you. इनके जो spokesperson भी आ रहे हैं ना studios में, उनको भी नहीं पता है क्या हो रहा है. इतना डिस्कनेक्ट पार्टी में है. आप किसी भी इनके रिप्रेजेंटेटिव से बात करो ऐसे सर पकड़ के बैठे होते हैं. वायनाड में परसों पोलिंग है. राहुल गांधी आज कहां थे? पूरा दिन दिल्ली में. 2 दिन से कहां थे किसी को नहीं पता. कहा जा रहा है उनको फूड पॉइजनिंग थी. दिस इज द लेवल ऑफ सीरियसनेस फॉर हिज कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी व्हिच वोटेड हिम इवन दो ही वाज अ पैराशूट कैंडिडेट.
And you know, people say Congress has never redistributed. वो याद हो compulsory क्या था वो deposit scheme थी क्या 1963 की उनकी? वही थी ना? वो या उसका भी जरा स्क्रीन ग्रैब दिखाएं लोगों जो यंग बच्चे हैं उनको मालूम नहीं होगा. आए हमारे देश में क्या क्या होता था. ये है the compulsory deposit scheme act 1963. ओ माय ये सारा पैसा लेके कंपल्सरी डिपॉजिट कराता है. यार कितने डेंजरस लोग हैं ये लोग. ये देश का क्या मतलब हमारा देश था कि मजाक था ये रेट्स ऑफ कंपल्सरी. आए होए कोई उठा लो यार, इसको उठा लो, मुझे मत उठाओ. क्या लोग हैं, क्या देश है ये हमारे साथ रियल में होता था. मैं तो शुक्र है पता नहीं मेरे पापा मम्मी तुम्हारे पापा मम्मी ये कैसे इस देश में सरवाइव कर गए. ये देश अपने सिटीजन्स के साथ क्या क्या वाहियात चीजें करता था.
एक और पॉइंट है, मैं ना अगर इसको एक कूल हेड से सोचूं, मैं एक सेकंड के लिए भूल जाऊं इस देश में अभी इलेक्शन चल रहे हैं, भूल जाता हूं. Because our fault as analysts in the media is also that we are so obsessed with the politics, we forget to look at the policy and the economics filter. What Rahul Gandhi is doing today, or maybe his alliance partners, वो तो चलो power के भूखे तो उस चक्कर में कर रहे हैं, which is that one country which will benefit from India remaining poor. कि अगर इंडिया में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नहीं आ रहा हमारा फायदा, अगर इंडिया is just a market where we can dump cheap pathetic quality goods हमारा फायदा. अगर इंडिया एक स्टेबल गवर्नमेंट में नहीं रहता, उनके बॉर्डर इश्यूज इतनी अच्छे से एड्रेस नहीं होते जैसे अभी हो रहा है, हमारा फायदा। कौन सी वो एक कंट्री? द राइटिंग इज ऑन द वॉल. And which is that one party which has an MOU with that country? The writing is on the wall. Everyone knows public. मुझे ये समझ नहीं आता, राहुल गांधी को अगर सत्ता चाहिए, see, it's nothing wrong about aspiring for power. At least get a country that you way want to run. You say that I want industries in specific areas to boost employment. I understand. तुम कह रहे हो इंडस्ट्री जाए भाड़ में, ठगाठक ठगाठक ठगाठक, ये तो सीरियसनेस है. तुम बोलो कि मेरे को रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके जो वेलफेयर प्रोग्राम्स उनको और अच्छे से चलाना है. I'll still probably buy your thought, your chain of thought. तुम कह रहे हो लाख रुपए घर बैठो, कोई कमाने की जरूरत नहीं. क्यों? What are you trying to reduce this country to a communist nation? Because eventually we'll go back to the license Raj. If you're already talking about diversity commissions, you're talking about inheritance tax, you're talking about wealth redistribution, you're talking about license Raj. कि सरकार बताएगी कितना कमाना है, कितना देना है, कितना खाना है, कितनी तनख्वाहें होंगी. आप लाइसेंस राज में चाह रहे हो. And mind you, if you start imagining it economically, this India is worse than the Indias we had in 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We will be far worse. अभी आपको जो दिख रहा है ना, यूपीआई कितने महीने के बिलियंस हो रहे हैं, डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शंस, इंटरनेट बैंकिंग, जब सरकार आपसे आपका पैसा मांगना शुरू करेगी, हर कोई कैश पे चला जाएगा वापस. And that's detrimental to India's economic interests. We are at the cusp of growth. We need a decade of stable majority government, किसी की भी हो. और अब वो एक ही पार्टी बना सकती है इस देश में, क्योंकि कांग्रेस ने जो अपना हश्र किया नहीं बना सकती. साफ सी बात है, ट्रूथ. ऑपोजिशन क्रिएट करना मेरा या तुम्हारा या बीजेपी का तो काम नहीं है ना, कांग्रेस का खुद का काम है. यू वांट पॉलिसीज दैट आर प्रोग्रेसिव, यू वांट नजेस, लेट्स से इन द सोलर और द रिन्यूएबल सेक्टर. व्हाट इज राहुल गांधी ऑफरिंग? अच्छा, एक और चीज, अडानी करता है. अडानी तो खुद माइनॉरिटी है. ही इज अ जैन, as a lot of people are telling me on Twitter.
See, there are minorities and then there are minorities.
नहीं, इसका मैनिफेस्टो कहता है we'll give priorities to industries that create large number of jobs. अडानी employs in thousands. आप इनके एक पोर्ट पे चले जाओ, हजारों में लोग एम्प्लॉयड हैं. ये अपने मैनिफेस्टो के प्रिंसिपल्स के साथ कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है, ये बेसिक इकोनॉमिक प्रिंसिपल्स के साथ कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है, ये इंडिया के सिविलाइजेशनल सोशल फैब्रिक के साथ कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है, ये इंडिया की पॉलिटी आज तक जैसे चलते हैं. मतलब लिटरली राहुल गांधी इज नाउ मेकिंग अरविंद केजरीवाल लुक लाइक एडम स्मिथ.
मां कसम, ये भी बोलने को इतना चुभा होगा तुम्हें क्या?
मतलब अरविंद केजरीवाल का फ्री पानी बिजली तो मुझे लग रहा है सर आप हो विजनरी, आप हो एकदम बिजनेस माइंडेड. दैट इज हाउ बैड दिस मैनिफेस्टो इज. एंड माय शॉक इज नो वन इन द मीडिया इज अपियरिंग टू टेक दिस सीरियसली. द प्राइम मिनिस्टर एक्सप्लेन्स इट कि इसका मतलब ये है. सब प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पीछे पड़ गए. यार तुम आइडिया तो देखो, फॉरगेट द मैसेंजर, लुक एट व्हाट ही इज सजेस्टिंग. मीडिया ओनरशिप पे कांग्रेस के मैनिफेस्टो में क्लॉजेस हैं. किसी 9 PM एंकर ने बात करी जो यूट्यूब पे चले गए, वैसे उनको म्यूजिंग्स करनी है पूरा दिन बैठ के. They won't talk about it.
नहीं, मगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने आज जो ये पिट्रोडा के चीज को समअप किया, वो जो 2 मिनट में, आई थिंक दैट्स वर्थ प्लेइंग. आई थिंक द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज राइट जो उन्होंने बोला है. आई मीन आई वांट टू प्ले व्हाट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेड. इसमें गलत क्या बोला प्रधानमंत्री ने? आई थिंक दिस वाज द ग्रेटेस्ट समरी इन अ 2 मिनट क्लिप.
शाही परिवार के शाहजादे के सलाहकार, इस शाही परिवार के शाहजादे के पिताजी के भी सलाहकार, उन्होंने कुछ समय पहले कहा था, और ये परिवार उन्हीं की बात मानता है. उन्होंने कहा था कि हमारा देश का जो मिडिल क्लास है, मध्यम वर्गीय लोग हैं, जो मेहनत करके कमाते हैं, उन्होंने कहा उन पर ज्यादा टैक्स लगना चाहिए. ये इन्होंने पब्लिकली कहा है. अब ये लोग उससे भी एक कदम आगे चले गए हैं. अब कांग्रेस का कहना है कि वो इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स लगाएगी. माता पिता से मिलने वाली विरासत पर भी टैक्स लगाएगी. आप जो अपनी मेहनत से संपत्ति जुटाते हैं, वो आपके बच्चों को नहीं मिलेगी. बल्कि कांग्रेस सरकार का पंजा उसे भी आपसे छीन लेगा। यानी कांग्रेस का मंत्र है कांग्रेस की लूट, कांग्रेस का मंत्र है कांग्रेस की लूट, जिंदगी के साथ भी और जिंदगी के बाद भी। जब तक आप जीवित रहेंगे कांग्रेस आपको ज्यादा टैक्स से मारेगी, और जब आप जीवित नहीं रहेंगे तो आप पर इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स का बोझ लाद देगी। जिन लोगों ने पूरी कांग्रेस पार्टी पैतृक संपत्ति मानकर अपने बच्चों को दे दी, वो लोग नहीं चाहते कि एक सामान्य भारतीय अपने बच्चों को अपनी संपत्ति दे।
ये मालूम है, मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था मेरी लाइफ में, और ये किसी ने बहुत सही ट्वीट किया था कि LIC की एड का कभी मोदी जी ऐसे यूज करेंगे।
एक ट्वीट मैंने भी देखा था, किसने लिखा था कि बनियो और मारवाड़ी तो बैंड बजा देंगे अगर उनको बोलोगे कि इसकी प्रॉपर्टी, मतलब अपनी प्रॉपर्टी वापस करो। बट there is a very interesting comment that I just saw in the live chat, and he said people vote for free buses, and one of the anchors, a prominent one and a credible one, told me that if I look at Karnataka, there is some popularity amongst women for the free bus rides. My simple question to all those people: what will you do with free buses if the roads will not be good enough to travel on? What will you do with free electricity if the house you live in will eventually go back to the state as inheritance tax? What will you do with free water supply if the quality of water would be so bad that you can't drink it and the food you have would be accounted for the government? What will you do with free cash? What will you do with free cash if everything that you buy is indirectly owned by the state? ये free short term gains में मत पड़ो, long term में solid वाट लगेगी। यही हमारे साथ 50-60s में हुआ था। Yeah, I agree.
I think I give a shout out to this live viewer who has summed up my emotions, that Kushalmehra would rather wish for a RCB championship than Congress getting power. By you think anybody would want the Congress to come in power after? अरे भाई, मतलब क्या? What do you expect me to? What do you expect me to say? Okay, anyways, we'll start taking questions now. यार
I see Arvind Kejriwal as Adam Smith. मतलब उसको RCB जितानी है, मुझे केजरीवाल जी में Adam Smith दिख रहा है। मतलब सोचो कितना बुरा मैनिफेस्टो, कितने बुरे ideas. And we are not kidding. In all seriousness, even with all our jokes, just because we are so frustrated thinking about what can go wrong, don't rule out the possibility. He genuinely means it. Even if he's fooling people and ends up fulfilling 10% of those promises that are going to be detrimental to India's interests. Just remember that.
Yeah, I'm not going to take comments. I'm going to take questions. Even if they're critical of the BJP, I'll take them. And I'll start with a critical to the BJP question. Can you talk about how the DTC tax, which was introduced by UPA 1 and now BJP wants to implement it, how are they different in taxation? At least UPA time, we were not taxed on equity, unlike the BJP.
So if you're looking at a solo issue, you're looking at the DTC tax. Okay, the UPA 1 introduced it. The BJP wants to implement it. The UPA did not have tax on, let's say, equity, for instance. But the UPA also had a lot of other problems. The UPA was giving you a banking system which was at the cusp of failing. So you might be today complaining about equity being taxed, but at least you have a banking system which is healthy. Again, I urge people, go back, read the banking declarations of 2012, 13, 14. The kind of losses our PSB were in. Economics is not an isolated event ki mera ye tax hai, to ye tax khatao. It's not, it doesn't work that way. Again, BJP can be, the taxation policies of BJP can be discussed, or if you want to discuss how they have encouraged or discouraged consumption, that's a separate topic. But look at the macro fundamentals. You have a banking system today which is healthy. Your investment atmosphere is good because of political stability. Look at how your infrastructure is getting massive boost. So again, you are complaining about the tax. I'm saying, look where that tax is going. That's all.
how does one differentiate between welfare schemes and freebies? Can I just say the best
Very
answer
simple.
given for this was by my friend Ashish Chandorkar a long time ago. I think Ashish
Yeah.
had given the best answer. He's like, don't look at what BJP, don't look at toilets as freebies, look at toilets as capex. And he was right. But I'll let you answer.
No, absolutely, Ashish. I think put it in the fewest and the bestest words. I'll say it's very simple. Freebies and welfare, unlike freebies, is targeted. Welfare, unlike freebies, have second and third order effect, as Kushal and Ashish spoke about toilets or a health cover, right? Free welfare, unlike freebies, has a limited time period. It enables people. The second and third order network effects we are talking about enables people to attain that economic stature where they can say goodbye to freebies. I'll give you a very simple example. My parents or my grandparents have stood in queues before the PDS shops. चीनी के लिए, चावल आटे के लिए, और majority Indians, you speak to any family, grandparents or great grandparents must have stood before the queue. But we ended up in a position where we no longer need that. In COVID also, there were a lot of families which said we are sufficient enough that we do not need the free food grains. So welfare और freebies को कभी भी distinguish करना, network effect, targeted, and a finite period of requirement.
Yeah, I would highly recommend all of you not only go follow Tushar on Twitter, but also follow Ashish Chandorkar on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @C_AASHISH. He's a wonderful guy, a very nice human being, very kind, very civilized. Too civilized, I feel, at times with Ashish. Too civilized, a guy. But yeah, go follow him. You will learn a lot about public policy if you follow Ashish Chandorkar. Again, see, this is what scares people. Inheritance of Muslim families are governed by Muslim Personal Law Board, and Congress manifesto promised they won't touch personal laws. So does this mean that inheritance tax would only apply to non-Muslims in India? Bhai, यही तो स्कीम है.
जोर जोर से चिल्ला के स्कीम बता दो सबको. तो एब्सोल्युटली, आई वोंट इंटेलेक्चुअलाइज दिस क्वेश्चन. हाँ,
सच है, कोई नहीं है, ये सच है.
उनके मैनिफेस्टो में लिखा है, हम नहीं कह रहे हैं. उनके मैनिफेस्टो में लिखा है कि दे आर ऑल फॉर पर्सनल लॉज. पर्सनल लॉ ये है. अब हम क्या करें? मतलब या तो वो लिखे इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स वुड बी इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द रिलीजन, और वेल्थ रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन और इक्विटी वुड बी इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द रिलीजन. आपको घुसाओ मत पर्सनल लॉज का, माइनॉरिटीज का. आपने घुसा दिया. अब हम क्या करें? आप ही कंफ्यूज कर रहे हो, आप ही कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट कर रहे हो, आप ही एम्बिग्विटी क्रिएट करो. हम क्या करें?
So, अच्छा, ये बड़ा, as a Keralite, I know many rich Christians with a lot of land. Do you think this will be the last straw that breaks the camel's back and the Christians basically go towards the BJP? I don't know. Time will tell. I don't know.
What makes you think they are not already?
Yeah. हाँ, ये भी बात देखो. ये भी बात तो सही है.
3-4 constituencies में AK Antony's son. A lot is going on the ground. We'll discuss that some other day. But anyone who owns land, यार आप केरलाइट्स को छोड़ो, मैं तो पंजाब हरियाणा के किसानों को कह रहा हूँ, अन्नदाता. राहुल गांधी जिनको लीगल गारंटी एमएसपी की दे रहा है. अच्छा भाई, ये ले तू एमएसपी, पर ये तेरे 5 एकड़ ज्यादा, ये जरा यहाँ ले.
Acha, this is such a hilarious question. It starts with Rahul Gandhi is mad, but how should we tackle the question of north-south redistribution? How to draw the line? Where does social justice start and end? भाई ये तो राहुल गांधी आंसर करे ना. वो बोल रहा है डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे तो ठीक है, सारी सदर्न स्टेट्स का एक काम करते हैं, पैसा डिवाइड कर देते हैं.
I'll tell you how this Congress fools people. उस दिन कर्नाटका गवर्नमेंट में हिंदू में या किसी अखबार में तो ऐड निकाली, हिंदू था, कि मोदी सरकार इज अनफेयर टू कन्नडिगर्स. ये हमारे से पैसा लेते हैं, नॉर्थ इंडियन स्टेट्स को बांटते हैं. तुम्हारे लीडर ही कह रहे लीगल गारंटी देनी है एमएसपी की. हम तो कह ही नहीं रहे. हम तो कह रहे इनेबल करो सबको. This is how the Congress takes people for a ride. And talking about the north-south redistribution, there is no north-south here. फिर ईस्ट-वेस्ट भी बात करो ना. Western India is more economically stronger than Eastern India. Northeast, because 65 years no one cared, right? But that is not how you look at a country. There will be stronger regions because of their geography. There will be economically weaker regions or regions that need more help. And that is how a country works. Any country in the world. We are not Vatican that every corner of our country will be the same economically and socially. Sorry to break it to you, but that's how geography, that's how nature works. So a Himalayan state will obviously need more help than a state which is right on the coast and has the benefit of, say, IT service industry or manufacturing industry and so forth. But you would always, as a country, If Meghalaya and Manipur are developing, that is the development of Gujarat as well. अगर मैं यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठा और मुंबई में MTHL बन रहा है, वो मेरी भी डेवलपमेंट है. डेवलपमेंट को कभी रीजन सेंट्रिक मत बनाओ, बिकॉज यू डोंट नो वेयर यू आर गोइंग टू वर्क. ये तुम्हारे मम्मी पापा का जमाना तो है नहीं कि 30 साल एक ही जगह नौकरी करोगे. यू लिटरली डोंट नो वन ब्लैक स्वान इवेंट और वन wonderful job offer and you might move cities. That's how life is now.
Yeah. किसी ने डरा दिया. What if the Congress wants to bring caste-based tax? Like क्यों? मतलब तुमको already life में enough problem नहीं है कि तुम और लाना चाहते हो?
Caste-based tax. What he's asking is, what if Congress brings back jizya?
नहीं, बस यही बाकी था. अभी तुम और बस कर दो. मैं अभी है ना वो आशुतोष के जैसे बस कर दो मोदी जी, बस कर दो. मैं वही करना बाकी है. नहीं सहन होता.
बट लोग अब तो यही सोचेंगे ना. अब ये देखो, हम अपने मन से तो बना नहीं रहे ये बातें. पीपल आर आस्किंग कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है. अब लोग भी अपनी तो थ्योरी लगाएंगे ना. इस देश में 140 करोड़ पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट है भाई. एक चाय वाले की तपड़ी से लेकर मतलब मुंबई के फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स तक, everyone is a political analyst in this country in their respective capacities. Everyone is going to look at their children today and ask themselves, is this party actually telling me that I can't leave anything for my daughter 20 years from now? Or if something happens to me tomorrow, post 24, and if this government is there, God forbid, my daughter will get 45% of my wealth. People are going to ask, भाई लोगों का भी तो अपना, जनता का भी तो अपना हक है ना. सोचेगी, सवाल करेगी. आपने तो लिख दी बड़ी बड़ी बातें, आपने तो जाके कर दिया क्रांतिकारी मैनिफेस्टो. You're confusing the people. You confused the OBCs in December 2023 elections. You've confused the entire Indian population in 2024. And that's the end of it.
Yeah. Is there a possibility that advisors inside the Congress are sabotaging him because literally no one wants this? You'll be surprised how many people close to him actually believe in this thing, lock, stock and barrel. Have you guys forgotten the dreaded NSC? NSC promoted something as dastardly as the communal violence bill where only Hindus were at fault. क्या बात कर रहे हो? Absolutely, ये लोग they're surrounded, the family is surrounded by these nincompoops.
Yeah, there are people who are using the family for their own selfish interest, no doubt about it. The family also is very disconnected from the sentiments of the people. Simple example there are. Toilets banaye, they mocked Modi. Bank account khole, they mocked Modi. Digital payments, they mocked Modi. Mudra, they mocked Modi. COVID, they mocked Modi. Everything done for the poor, they mocked Modi. उनको पता ही नहीं लोगों को चाहिए क्या. तो ये जितनी भी आप भारत न्याय यात्रा कर लो, जितनी भी आप बाइक चला लो इधर उधर, जितनी भी हेलो हाय न्याय यात्रा कर लो, पद यात्रा कर लो, मैं वही कहता हूं कि 20 साल हो गए राहुल गांधी को एक्टिव पॉलिटिक्स में. 20 साल में इंसान या तो अपने लिए गढ़ बना लेता है या वो पॉलिटिक्स छोड़ देता है. लाइक यू नो, लॉट ऑफ पीपल से दिस इज नॉट माय कप ऑफ टी, आई वुड रादर बी इन द बैकग्राउंड, राइट? 20 years later, after 2004, and with the legacy he has, which is not a legacy many political inheritors in the world can claim of. In the world, I'm saying, not even in India. He is what, a fourth generation politician, right? And a party which is still in power in a lot of states still has a significant vote share. वो 20 साल में कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी नहीं बना पाए. आज आप बताओ राहुल गांधी जाकर कहां बोल सकता है ये मेरा गढ़ है? He's everywhere but nowhere. He has to be in a constituency where the vote can be managed. And thanks to another Congress spokesperson who was yesterday shooting a video, we are going to campaign for Rahul Gandhi in a village and this is a dirt road.
ये मतलब वो तो ना कादर खान और जॉनी लीवर वाले से तो मेरी साइड है कि उसकी साइड है?
So the answer to your sabotaging, people who are close to the Congress in order to earn brownie points before Rahul Gandhi, they end up exposing him or embarrassing him. I don't know. Sam Pitroda is close to the Gandhis. What did he do this morning? He embarrassed Rahul Gandhi. That's how it is.
यही होता है उनका रोज. तो मेरी साइड है कि उसकी साइड है? मैं तो आपकी साइड हूँ.
हाँ, वो दूल्हे राजा मूवी में था. Yes.
Do you think they will add civil war in 2020 manifesto? ये लोगों की इतनी पड़ गई है ना कांग्रेस को करके, वो लोग को लगता है कि कुछ भी आ जाएगा अपनी मैनिफेस्टो में.
भाई बात वो है ना, जब जिंदगी में एक दिन भी नौकरी ना करी हो, पैसा ना कमाया हो, तो ये बातें करी जाती है. जिन्होंने कमाया है, जिन्होंने देखा है कि चलो मेरे माँ बाप साइकिल पे थे या बजाज चेतक पे घूमे, आज मैं अपनी पहली गाड़ी ले रहा हूँ, उनको डर लगता है. जायज है उनका डर लगना। मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि जैसे इलेक्शन कैंपेनिंग का चल रहा है, बाय द एंड ऑफ इट, एंड सिंस यू लिव्ड इन द यूएस यू कैन थ्रो मोर लाइट ऑन दिस, कोई लॉ ना ले आए कि अगर हम पावर में आते हैं इतने थ्रेशोल्ड के नीचे की चोरी वैल्यू में, रुपए वैल्यू में, उसको हम क्रिमिनल क्राइम नहीं मांगेंगे, उसको हम डीक्रिमिनलाइज करेंगे। जैसे यूएस में एक जगह ये
कैलिफोर्निया
लॉ
का
है
जो
ना,
कैलिफोर्निया का है, यूएस का नहीं है, कैलिफोर्निया में एक पर्टिकुलर काउंटी में, सैन फ्रांसिस्को में है ये, तो वहां पे सारे वॉलग्रीन्स ही बंद हो गए। वॉलग्रीन्स से बोला अबे पेटी थेफ्ट को कैसे कंट्रोल करूं, तुम तो उसको छुड़वा देते हो। ये प्रॉब्लम है।
तो वही
ये
फर्क
लोग
आ
वहीं
जाता है।
जा
So
रहे हैं।
याद है when we discussed the BJP manifesto, and you and I had this opinion, it's very specific. No room for ambiguity. ये करना है, इसके लिए करना है, ऐसे करेंगे, तब तक कर देंगे, इतनी बार करेंगे, 3 करोड़ घर, ये घर वो घर। इनके मैनिफेस्टो में कहानियां इतनी हैं, लोग अब बैठे सोच रहे हैं। मतलब मुझे तो लगता है इस देश में भी कितने लोग होंगे जो भी ऐसे बैठे सोच रहे होंगे ये हो भी सकता है। It's scary. It's not good. You know, again, I don't care what the opposition reduces itself to. That's not our job to preserve the opposition. Yes, if it ends up in a museum, we'll preserve it as a fossil fuel in the pages of history. But in its current health, it's not our job to preserve it. So people are going to be scared. Kushal, expect more questions. मतलब लगेगा यार ये क्या पूछ रहा है, but वो पूछ रहा है।
नहीं तो यही तो पूछ रहे हैं। इन ऑल सीरियसनेस, इज दिस टाइप ऑफ डेंजरस मिसमैनेजमेंट आइडियाज आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस ऑपोजिशन और इट्स पार्ट ऑफ आवर पॉलिटिकल कल्चर? हाउ कैन वी प्रोटेक्ट दिस क्रूशियल फेज ऑफ आवर कंट्री बिल्डिंग? बॉस, इट्स नॉट द पॉलिटिकल कल्चर ऑफ द भारतीय जनता पार्टी एंड एक्सटेंशन, एंड लेट मी से, आई डोंट गिव द एक्सटेंशन एनी क्रेडिट, इट इज ओनली द भारतीय जनता पार्टी, बिकॉज एक्सटेंशन तो भाई कभी इधर जाती है कभी उधर जाती है। मैं तो कोई बीजेपी का मेंबर भी नहीं हूं, मैं तो एक खुला बोल रहा हूँ। ये मेरी फटती यही है कि बीजेपी को छोड़ के इस देश में और कोई है ही नहीं। क्या है ये?
नहीं, इनका सवाल है, हाउ कैन वी प्रोटेक्ट दिस क्रूशियल फेज से कंट्री? गो आउट वोट,
वोट फॉर बीजेपी,
go out
वोट
vote.
फॉर बीजेपी।
I am mentally prepared to drive 500 kilometers to go and vote where I am supposed to vote, and I will. Because boss, एक दिन उठ जाओ, सुबह नहा लो, वोटिंग बूथ के लाइन में खड़े हो, वोट दे दो, or the opposition, or the flip-flop, possible flip-flop of it, by going by what the Congress is saying is inheritance tax, wealth redistribution, equity के बड़ी-बड़ी बातें, I don't know what.
Okay, तो ये देखो, when will BJP stop treating Congress like a cat playing with its prey? When will they deliver a Congress Mukt Bharat? Congress must become, see, it takes time. It's a democratic process, boss. There are still enough takers and certain constituencies. I mean, क्या बोले आपको? You think it's easy? You think, and BJP is not out there to destroy Congress. They are there to win elections. That's how it's politics doesn't work on a negative agenda.
कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत लोग बनाएंगे, थोड़े लोग बनाए, थोड़ा राहुल गांधी बनाएगा, मिल बांट के काम होगा, वो हो रहा है।
So we'll wrap up now. This is the last question. How can someone be so tone deaf? They don't understand that they are starting at their own extinction. Well, fine. I mean, kya kare? Or there was another comment saying there is no inheritance tax in the US. How can they get away with such lies, boss? They can get away with anything.
For 70 years, Congress got away with one lie from 1947 to 2014, that somehow Hindus of this country are against the Muslims. For the entire period of 75 years of independence, the Congress peddled this lie and got away with it in the media, in the intellectual circles, in the book circles, publishing circles, in the foreign media. And you think they can't get away from this? Congress की undoing पता है क्या है? अगर एक आज से 50 साल बाद कोई हिस्ट्री लिख रहा होगा, हमारे पॉडकास्ट को एज अ रेफरेंस यूज कर रहा होगा ना, द इंटरनेट. People like you and me, which in school probably never thought that we'll do this for a living. In school, none of us thought कि हम ये करेंगे. We all had an American dream to chase or a money dream to chase, random stuff 13, 14-year-olds think about. Internet changed India big time. And internet exposed India to actual policy and politics. And one of the greater consequences has been what we saw in 2014. And उसके बाद कांग्रेस का भी narrative ओन ही नहीं कर पाई.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. See, at the end of the day, like somebody said, caste census and wealth distribution will hurt India. why does the Indie Alliance continue to defend it? Is because, listen, they're surrounded by people. Congress used to be very centrist. They've gone far left and it's taken over by ideologues. When something gets taken over by an ideologue, right? An ideologue is an idiot because he's so or she's so married to that one little cocoon that they have, right? They lose flexibility intellectually. Centrists, we are all centrists. Hum thoda idhar hai, hum thoda udhar hai. We're all over the place. That's how existence is. That's how human beings are. Congress is taken over by hardline ideologues. I think that's what you should be scared about.
Be scared about. Earlier you were voting for a party, now vote for your future and the future of your kids. That's all I'd say. Doesn't give me sort of happiness, ki aise baat kar rahe hain, and we're being very direct and blunt. I mean, it's no surprise we both like the BJP, right? And we've discussed it.
बोलता हूं.
कोई ऐसे छुपा नहीं है, कोई राज नहीं है. But, and I urge the Muslims also, look at your children, think about their long-term interest. मैं वही बात कर रहा हूं, घूम फिर के राहुल गांधी दिन भर जाति जनगणना की बात करता है. आप अपना आज का दिन रिवाइंड करें. अभी रात के 10:15 होने को आए हैं. आप सुबह 6 बजे के अगर उठे हैं, पिछले 14 घंटे में आप जितने लोगों से मिले, काम पर, घर पर, कोई आपके यहाँ आए हो, आप किसी के यहाँ गए हो, आपने किसी की भी कास्ट की परवाह करी? अगर आपने नहीं करी एक रूटीन लाइफ में, तो वो क्यों कर रहा है और उसका उद्देश्य क्या है? व्हाट इज हिज सेल्फिश मोटिव देयर? दैट्स व्हाट द वोटर्स नीड टू think about. That's all.
Yeah, I think you have summed it up perfectly. Once again, Tushar, pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much for coming. And Tushar and I promise you, we will go on doing these discussions once in a while. We'll try to do, discussions every month consistently on issues, even after the elections are done, because we're trying to work out a system where every time we come up with a system where we try to do these regular discussions, where we back everything up with a citation. That's what Tushar and I try to do over here. No faffing. Everything is backed up with a citation. So that's the system. And once again, in this description of the podcast, Tushar ka X handle, Twitter handle is there. Go follow him on social media. And I just want to close this podcast because किसी ने बोला है कुशल US में book launch नहीं कर रहा है तो PDF भेज. Point number 1. और मेरे बाप, US में भी book का कार्यक्रम होगा. रुक जाओ, मुझे पहले इंडिया से तो स्यापा मेरा मुकाने दो, फिर मैं इंडिया से जाऊंगा, फिर वहां आऊंगा. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, अगर आप मुंबई में हो and you want to come for the book launch, so this Sunday on the 28th of April, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Harsh Madhusudan Gupta, Ami Ganatra and I will be there in Tidal Waves in Bandra West. You guys can come there for the book launch. अगर आपको आना है, आप खुशी से आ जाओ. There will be copies there. I'm more than happy to take photos and sign copies with you. That's point number 1. And if you don't know what my book is, well, this is my book. Finally, even I have a hard copy. And if you want to buy this, you can go on Amazon right now and place your order on Amazon if you're there. If you're in Mumbai, I'm more than happy to meet everyone this Sunday in Mumbai. Also, the book launch will happen in Delhi. It will happen on the 9th of May. I'm coming to Delhi next month. We'll do it then. And I repeat, this podcast works very hard in creating a lot of things. So that's why I do longer discussions. I take time. I don't do clickbaitiya things because even today, I did not know Sam Pitroda is going to do verbal diarrhea. We had decided we are going to do this without Sam Pitroda. ये तो ऐसा Sam Pitroda ने हमको परोस के दे दिया. But Tushar and I did not know 2 days ago when we decided कि नहीं, हमको wealth distribution के ऊपर focus करना है. We're just trying to bring you intelligent discussion. So if you like what I do in this podcast, the best way to support, because I don't do ad reads, because I don't want to be beholden to anyone, whether corporate or political. I'm an independent thinker and I piss everyone off. I don't care what happens to me. So please try and become a member of my podcast. If you can join the membership program. अगर कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, ऑडियो लिसनर हो, just leave a rating. Otherwise, like, subscribe to the channel and leave comment in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, namaste, take care, bye-bye.